Welcome to the Next Adventure podcast. This story is a little unsettling, particularly for those of you who are operating tourism-based businesses in Tasmania and those of you who earn income from your content creations and you are planning to go to Tasmania. I am interviewing two influencers, Harry Fisher from quite close to me here in Perth, and Rob Parsons, who is based in Tasmania and who's quite well known for doing lovely travel adventure YouTube videos in Tasmania. And the Tasmanian authorities and the national parks have basically slammed the door shut on influencers because they're making it so expensive and so complicated for influencers to go to Tasmania and share what is available in your beautiful state with the rest of the world. This is a lose-lose situation for everybody. Welcome to The Next Journey, the adventure travel podcast with me, Andrew St. Pierre White. I'm a prisoner of this hill. Harry from Far to Fork. Many of you will know his YouTube channel and his camp cooking. And we are looking forward again to getting together in the bush, mainly so Harry can cook me something.
Absolutely.
No,
I get camera tips, you get cooking tips. It's great.
Okay. I have just cancelled my plans to visit Tasmania because of two things that have happened. And what happened to Harry is one of the reasons why I have actually cancelled. So we're going to get onto that and discuss what's going on, because it's not very good for Tasmania, not very good for tourism, and not very good for YouTubers who earn income from creating content. But I do want to thank our sponsors, Zippo. Do you know that Zippo don't just make those lovely little brass lighters for lighting cigarettes and campfires? They also make inserts that are available directly from their website. They replace the traditional paraffin lighter fluid burner with a little butane firebox. So whereas the old Zippo was really good for lighting a campfire, as long as the wind wasn't howling, it could be blowing but not howling, the butane liner, to me, it's a game changer. I absolutely love it. And they also make some lovely fire starters. So Harry, you actually introduced me to these
They are genuinely so good. I've been using them for 20 years, and I'm only 35, so
Oh, really? No,
I've had one forever.
I've been using Zippos for longer than that, but I love these new butane. I love these new little butane. Are they quite new? Have they been around for a long time?
I don't actually know when they were released, but I completely agree. The biggest problem with the old lighters was, of course, the fuel evaporates over time. And secondly, as you said, not completely windproof. Yeah. These things, I left one in my van, for example, for 10 months, and I flicked it open, it lit perfectly. It's got a jet flame, you can hold it upside down, you can do all that kind of stuff. It's basically all I use. And fun fact, they fit perfectly in the little coin pocket of your Levi jeans. That's actually what they were originally designed for in Levi jeans.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't wear Levi's anymore, but that's quite cool. Onto our subject.
So, good place to store them.
I have cancelled my trips to Tasmania because of the how can we put this? No, I don't want to say the bullshit. It's the bureaucratic nonsense.
It's painful.
So tell me what happened to you. You decided you wanted to go to Tassie.
Yes.
To do a trip as a YouTuber.
Yes.
That earns money from their work.
Yes.
By various ways. What happened to you? What did you have to do?
15 months ago, I decided to drive an old van from the top of Cape York, northernmost point in Australia, to the southernmost point in Australia, which is, of course, in Tasmania. So I did. I bought an old van and I drove it all the way down. And 2 weeks before I was due to leave to Tasmania. Now, bear in mind, I've done all the other videos, the whole rest of Australia. Haven't paid a cent for a permit. It's been really easy to film. You fly in, you turn your camera on, you make your video, you leave. The state gets free marketing. I get to go and make an income. Everyone's happy. There's not, if you're irresponsible, you should be susceptible to fines because you're putting this information on the internet. You're putting everything that you do on the internet, and therefore, if I've done the wrong thing, come after me. Absolutely, no problem. I've got no problem with that. Tasmania took a different approach. I didn't know about this until I saw. It was a friend of a friend, and so Rob, who I believe you're going to interview, Rob Parsons, his issues are how I found out about all this.
I had a letter from Parks, basically said that I'd been operating without, like illegally inside the reserves that they manage because I didn't have a business license. Because what I had been doing, taking my hobby, which was making YouTube videos in the beginning, which I wasn't making any money, and then I started to generate ad revenue, basically monetizing the content that I make, and therefore this was massive infringement and considered running a business in reserves that Parks and Wildlife manage without a license. So they issued me basically a letter that said that if there was no action on my behalf, they'd be taking me to court. So I went in to see them and address the issue with them. And basically it seems that they have no system in place for YouTubers or small content creators. They have one commercial filming license, which is $440 per project. But for what we do to go out consistently making videos every other week, it's just impossible to do that and completely unaffordable. So what they did was they issued me an application for a business license, which is the exact same as like what tourism groups would apply for if they were operating in the reserves that they manage, which can take up to 90 days as well. So it just shows the basically the inefficiency of Parks and Wildlife to manage content creators because, one, they don't have a system in place that even caters for people who want to operate here, that live here. And two, they could never justify that 90-day clause on people who want to come from overseas or even interstate to film content to monetize, because it's just impossible. Most people don't book a holiday 90 days out, let alone get a business license so that they can film and monetize their content.
Rob was fined massive amounts of money for filming in his home state. And it turns out the thing that he was guilty of in the Parks and Wildlife Services mind was filming without a permit, as well as a bunch of other little tiny indiscretions. And I'm not going to go into the details of that. I think he's much better placed to do that. I do think that some of them were absolutely ridiculous. In fact, I think almost all of them were ridiculous.
I mean, I watched your stuff in Tasmania and thought, wow, where am I going to go? I need to contact Rob. Where am I going to go? That was my reaction to your show.
Yeah,
I want to go to some of those places that you've been. So I am typical, I think, of anybody wanting to travel to anywhere.
Yeah.
But now, if you had somebody giving you a set of tires, let's not giving you a lighter and saying, please use this lighter. Well, they're not giving you any money necessarily, but they're just saying, gift. Now that lighter has intrinsic value. Therefore, that shot of you at your campfire is monetized. It is actually monetized because they've given you something and you're giving them something back. It might not be money, but it is certainly value. Yeah. So even if anybody in visiting Tasmania, if you have been given a product in return for, yes, chuck some pictures on your Instagram, no matter whether your Instagram following is 20 people or 20,000, you may not do it, which means whatever systems they have in place. Yeah, it's completely unpoliceable. That's the problem. And this is why I highlighted everything that Parks did wrong, because they're just not ready and not willing to accept that it's something that they're capable of managing. I mean, that's the biggest issue I have with it, that they pointed fingers at my mate and I for making videos.
Were you found out because you had transgressed some rules?
Yeah,
Which,
very. There was some education that was needed because Parks and Wildlife have a legislation book that is massive. It's probably bigger than the Bible, and it's full of all of these rules that, as users of the parks, we're meant to know every single one of these rules. And trust me, there's some insane ones that you would never guess. For example, snapping a dead branch is an infringement if that dead branch is inside a World Heritage area. So you think like, be careful where you're walking because you don't want to break a rule from just accidentally walking on a stick that you've. But yeah, there was some stuff that I'd done in my videos that I was not aware were infringements, and this was part of the case that Parks and Wildlife had put together on me, along with the operating in the reserves that they manage without a business license. And to
right,
be honest, I think majority of what they were going for was that business license thing, because they thought, well, if he needs a business license to operate in our reserves, then he has to get one through us. So if we want to put a leash around his neck, he's going to have to come and play by our rules, which I don't have a problem with, because everything that I've done has basically been, leave no trace. I'm a pretty good advocate for Tassie. I love teaching people about nature and history and all of these things. But there might be a line there that's drawn, because also a lot of what I do is kind of historical, and some of the places that I visit, they might not want encouraging people to visit as well.
So I suddenly find out about this, and I'm 14 days to the day away from leaving. So I look it up and I go, what am I going to do? I've spent so much time and effort in, trying to complete this trip. I really don't want to cut it short for the sake of having to get a permit. We've all got permits for things. You've done the canning stock route. You've got permits for different trips. No problem. I fully understand that. And I fully understand in some states that if you want to film in national parks, you do need a permit. I think in New South Wales, it's $50 for the year to film commercially. Tassie's got a different system where not just national parks, every single bit of public land is subject to this permit system. I'm talking about a beach. If you're a wedding photographer and you go out and you want to take photos or video of a newlywed couple on the beach, you need to spend 3 weeks getting the permit ready. You need to spend $440 per wedding, so per project. And you need public liability insurance that specifically names Tasmania's Crown on the policy, and they've got specific wording that you need for that. And that's $2,500 a year, $2,560 a cost for the year. So if you're a wedding photographer, you need to now add $2,500 over the thing. So say you do 10 weddings a year, you add $250 plus your $440 plus all the buggering around for every single time you need to do a wedding. So those newlyweds are now paying an extra $700 odd per shoot in order to pay for these permits. And the reasoning that they've said is that they want to make sure that you're not doing the wrong thing. And I guess we can go back to that because, as I said, we're putting it on the internet.
yes,
If we're doing the wrong thing, punish us. But I don't think that we need to run everything past a bureaucratic organisation before we do it. It's infuriating. Anyway, so I get in touch with them and I said, look, I haven't got my insurance yet. I've got 14 days till I leave. You say I need 21. Is there any chance we can expedite this? I really need it to go through. And they said, look, tell us exactly where you're going. And I said, Tasmania. And they said, where? I said, I don't know. I don't know what the weather's doing. I don't know whether it's good produce. I don't know where I'll find a good campsite. There are a whole bunch of variables. I'll be asking locals. I'll be traveling with locals. I'll be walking into the local pub, sitting down, ordering a beer and saying, mate, where can I go and catch some trout? Or where's a good campsite? Or do you know where I can get, whatever. Is there a little truffle farm near here so I can go and make some fun local produce? And because the whole purpose of my trip was to showcase Tasmania's produce. And I guess I can go into that in a little bit later. But anyway, so that's what I said to them. I said, the purpose of this is to show how different it is traveling in Tassie because it's small and you can you can refill every day or two with ingredients and fun things and support local economies and showcase the cool things about Tassie. I tell them all this, and they went, no, but exactly where are you going? I can't tell you. Or we really need to know. Well, I can't. I said, oh, we're going to need to get comment from every single region in Tassie to see if you can go. I said, okay, how many regions are there? And they said, 3. I said, fine. I'm doing a lap of Tassie anyway. Any way we go about it, even if I gave you an itinerary, it's going to be all 3. And, oh, yeah, I guess it will be. But, can you just give us... No, I'm not giving you dates. I'm not... Just get me permission to film for 1 week in all three locations, all 3 zones, and we'll go from there. Finally, it gets through. Okay, yeah, we think we can do that. Okay, cool. Now, there is an exemption that if you are doing this for the benefit of Tassie, so if you can show them, hey, I'm going to be, highlighting your state, helping your tourism, helping your local economy, they will waive the fee. They didn't waive the fee. They charged me full fee, $440 for the permit, plus $2,500 for the insurance.
So their conclusion was that you were not helping the economy by the media that you were presenting.
Exactly.
Which is patently incorrect.
That's exactly what they said.
Okay.
Yeah. So I said, guys, I really need you to tell me if you are going to get it through in 2 weeks. Because if you're not, I need to start cancelling things now. And I won't come to Tassie. And this is, I think, where it hit home. Because they said, well, we need to see if you're going to be doing the right thing by our state. And I said, that's fine. I'd like you to look at it from another perspective. What happens if you don't let me go to Tassie? I've got, all up, across platforms, 185,000 odd followers. I've been telling them for over a year that I'm going to be doing top to bottom in this cool old van. And if at the last minute it gets cut short, what am I supposed to say? Oh, I just changed my mind. It had nothing to do with Tasmania. Of course I'm not going to say that. I'm going to turn around and I'm going to say, hey, I tried to go to Tassie. They wouldn't let me because of this stupid permit system, and I didn't have time. And unfortunately, that's off the table now. My car needs to now go to South Australia, and it needs to go home because I've got plans. So Tassie will just get wiped off the list, and I'll go to the southernmost point in Victoria, and I'll go to the Flinders Ranges. And I think that seemed to be the best thing for at least getting this thing through, despite paying all the fees, despite jumping through all the hoops and getting all the insurance. And I mean, I think my permit's 8 pages long, and I had to fill out a 5-page form to get it in the first place. And then they said, well, this is not enough information. I was like, 5 pages. So I had to send email after email after email explaining how I was doing the right thing by their state. So I did a whole thing about how I'm taking an empty esky approach. So I'm going in with an empty fridge, no ingredients. And everything that I cook will be inspired by Tassie's best produce. And I'll be talking about how different it is travelling in Tassie compared to travelling in WA. In WA, you go, okay, I'm not going to get anything for the next 8 days, 10 days, 15, 20 days, whatever it is if you're doing a really remote trip. It's a completely different way of travel. You pack really efficiently. You pre-do everything. You pre-make meals. You get you get it down to a fine art. Tassie, no. You just pull into that little market that you're going to pass the next day, and you go and get some fun ingredients, and you make dinner that night.
Sounds fantastic.
It's fantastic.
And it's so colloquial. And how could they possibly say that isn't advanced? I don't get it.
So. And that's not me doing that for them. That's me doing it because I love Tassie. I had my honeymoon in Tassie. I've done a lap of Tassie before. I love Tasmania. I actually think the Tasmanians are the friendliest people in Australia. And I have to say, everyone I dealt with at Parks and Wildlife were really nice. But they are dealing with a system that's broken. They're dealing with a system that's designed for TV presenters. For TV crews.
So this gets me onto this question. Where is the line drawn between somebody that is going to create content for their own ends, i.e. they're going to earn some income from it?
Yeah.
And where is that line drawn, do you think, at the moment?
If you earn money at all.
If you earn money at all.
From your content. So if you if you are monetized on YouTube,
Even a tiny little channel that earns $8.50 a month
Yeah.
on their YouTube channel, they would need to go and spend thousands of dollars to go to Tasmania to take a single photograph.
Correct.
Is that what you're saying?
yes. If they put it on their channel, yes. I can go with my wife and go to Tassie on holiday and take all the photos and videos I want. If one of those touches my channels, I'm screwed.
You're contravening. You're contravening.
Yeah. It's almost like I've stolen the footage of Tassie.
Okay.
But look, I could go to hip camps all the way around Tassie and not touch a national park. But if I film on a main road, I'm contravening it. If I film on a beach, I'm contravening it. So I can only film on private property in Tassie. So that's the only way to get around it, is to only film on private property. Crown land, which is supposed to be, federal,
Yes.
no.
No.
Or that comes under the PWS, Parks and Wildlife Service, control, and I'm not allowed to film
Do
there.
you think that the people in Tasmania, giving them the benefit of the doubt, actually understand what it means to make money on social media? It's not like a television production where you have a crew of 12 or a crew of 20 and you stay there for a week and you're intensely shooting for a big production where you've got sponsors, advertising, and the production is worth thousands, tens of thousands of dollars. As compared to like yourself, you're similar to me, single YouTuber, you pay for your fuel.
Yeah.
Okay, you pay for your van, it's your vehicle, you get all the way there, you pay for the ferry, if you pay for the campsites, you pay for the food that you put in your esky, you pay for everything, and in doing that, you're supporting the economy in your small way,
Yes.
and then sharing it and promoting the economy in a massive way.
Yes.
Now that massive is all relative. You're a medium-sized YouTuber. Your influence is not insignificant.
We know what happens when certain things go on our channels. You more so than me, but I know for sure that I've gone to places, put it on my channel, and they are constantly being told, "Oh, we saw this in Fire to Fort, we saw this in Fire to Fort, we saw this in Fire to Fort," and they email me and they say, "Thank you so much for coming."
Yes.
And I didn't ask, it's a campsite or whatever it is, and they're over the moon. Now, I just don't understand how me going there could give a negative impact. And again, if I was doing the wrong thing, I'm fully open to fines, as is anyone else. In fact, I'm probably more open to fines because I document it.
So, do you think that their reaction? It's been like that for a while.
2000 it went in. So it's a
So
23-year-old
So it's
law.
a 23-year-old law based on television productions. I'll give
Exactly.
you a little bit of a story. The same occurred about the same time in African national parks. And I, in 2015, went to Zambia and Malawi. I contacted Zambia Tourism in Lusaka and Malawi Tourism. And I told them what I was doing. And I was doing it for South African television and YouTube. Again, very small budget, no big crew and everything like this. And they said you would have to sign these forms agreeing to certain things, no problem with that at all. And you would have to hire a local guide every single day. That's going to be a bit of a stretch on the budget. And it's $1,000 a day.
What?
Right, $1,000 to be in the national parks. But they are thinking, their mental thoughts were BBC, documentaries, big broadcasters.
Yeah.
You can understand that.
And look, and if you're filming a BBC documentary, $1,000 a day is nothing.
Is nothing. So I explained to them what I was doing, and they said, "We completely understand, but we have no machinery. We have nothing in place so we can't help you." So I said, "What would happen?" And I'm not saying it's going to. That I go anyway, and I release it on television. Are you going to come after me? And he smiled at me and said, well, I heard the smile on his phone. It was over the phone. And he said, "No, Mr. White, we're really not going to go. You go and do your thing." I then went and did the same thing with Malawi. I got a telephone call from the High Commissioner in London, because I was living in London in 2015 and I'd gone over to shoot it and gone back to the UK.
Okay.
The High Commissioner phoned me and he said, "Thank you so much for what you've just done."
Yeah.
That's the difference between understanding, and they, like Tasmania is acting now, they don't understand. And perhaps what we should do is help them understand the kind of income that is actually earned, because maybe they think you're earning millions and they want a slice of that.
Yeah.
I don't think, I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt, I don't think they're after it for the money.
No.
Are they after it because they want to make sure that you don't do the wrong thing and fly your drone in a national park,
Yes.
for example? Do you think that's their main...
I don't understand why they've suddenly tried to prosecute us. And when I say us, I mean small YouTubers. Well, you know, one-man band production. Let's just go one-man band productions.
Yeah.
One or two. For social media. I don't understand why they've suddenly turned around and said, you're breaking all these laws, unless people actually are breaking laws. That's totally fine. But in terms of, I don't understand why they're saying you're filming without a permit or you're doing this or that. It doesn't make sense to me that they are cracking down on it. I think they could have taken a Malawi approach and said, just go and do it and we won't prosecute you. That would have been a much better thing for them to do. But instead, they've decided to go all bureaucratic and enforce it.
Well, my aim with this video is to assist them in coming to terms with this new, it's not new, but it's new in their eyes, thing called content creator, and content creators that actually do it for a living. And in return, these wildlife areas get support, get visitors. They spend hundreds of thousands of dollars. They all do it on bringing in and inspiring visitors. Come and see our wonderful places that we manage, we look after, we are very proud of. Please come. And the best single way of doing that is to help YouTubers do their job well.
Yeah.
To me, it's a no-brainer, because it doesn't cost them a cent.
Yeah.
All it costs them is, I'm aware of you and let me try and help you do your job well. If you break the rules, I'm sorry, there are rules.
Yeah.
I'm not going to change them for you just because, but wouldn't it be great if they actually contacted you and said, okay, Rob, next time, what are we going to do next time? Because what happened here, now we're not happy with. What are we going to do next time? That's what they should have said.
Yeah.
Because if they'd understood...
that said, hey, we love what you do for the state, but there are a few rules that you're probably not aware that you've broken.
Yes.
And you're also going to need a business license, which we're going to fast track for you to keep you putting out content, because we love what you do for the state. Would have been that simple.
Now, I understand that the people at PWS, that is their job. But I think that someone's made a decision at some point to crack down, and they've done this to a few people, and I don't think it was a good move. It's also recently been in Parliament, where they've been discussing this in Parliament recently. The current minister, so the opposition member, has come forward and said, what do you think about this? This seems ridiculous to us that you're charging people who are promoting our state and prosecuting them and making them out to be villains when all they're doing is showing what a fantastic place we live. And his response...
That's what we love doing about interesting places. We love showing it off.
Exactly.
That's our main goal.
It's our main goal. There's no ulterior motive here.
None.
So the current ministers got up and said, oh, well, you know, how do we know what they're doing unless we check on them before they do it? And, you know, then to check on them, it's going to cost a lot of money and resources. Therefore, we need to charge them to check on them. And I just thought, you want to check on us? Jump on the channel and have a little watch. If we break any rules, let us know afterwards.
That's going to cost you nothing.
That will cost you absolutely nothing. Get someone, yeah, sure, it might, you know, you can have, I don't care if you employ someone just to watch YouTube videos on Tasmania. Make sure they're not doing the wrong thing.
Yeah.
And if they are doing the wrong thing, fine them.
Yeah.
It's very clear about drone rules. Drone rules apply to everyone.
Yeah.
And you can get an exemption, and that's fine. So I would be happy if they said, okay, you can fly a drone if you do this course, which they actually asked me to get a CASA license, which is $2,000 and takes a week.
Yes.
And I thought, well, I'm not doing that. I don't have the time, and I'm not spending $2,000 to fly a toy. You know,
Yes.
If it was a bigger than 2 kilo drone, a commercial one, fully understand. But to fly a normal recreational drone that I can fly everywhere else in Australia with my free license
Yes.
that we all have to get,
Yes.
No problem at all. I fully understand that. And if they said to me, hey, you can do it if you follow all these regulations and pay, say, $50, I'd do it. I'd pay the $50 and I'd be able to fly. And I'd, if the ranger comes up, I show, here you go, sir, here's my thing. Now, I should also say, after paying roughly $3,000 to in permits and whatnot, I then went to Cradle Mountain, not Cradle Mountain, Wineglass Bay, and Freycinet National Park, which is beautiful. It's the postcard of Tassie. $47 entry to the national park. My $440 apparently doesn't cover that. So you still got to pay all your park fees, all your access fees, all your camping fees, as well as the permit. I was there for an hour.
Do you think something like a simple roster, where if you are operating a content creation business, that you can register with them because they're worried about policing? So they might be saying, we won't know what they're doing. Well, I'm saying, it's very, very, very easy. It is so easy to find out what they're doing. All you need to do is sit at your desk and watch their channel, and you will know what they're doing.
You review the work after they've applied to do it. Plus, you give them the guidelines of which they can operate within as well. So that way, everybody who's applied for a commercial filming license is going to put out the content, which is in effect the evidence of the agreement that they came to with Parks and Wildlife. So there should be, no reason for them to ever think otherwise, that they would be breaking any rules or doing any more infringements. I mean, the simple fact that what we do is documented, self-documented, is more than enough support that they need on their behalf. And, innocent until proven guilty, by all means. Who is going to risk losing their business license to create content over some ridiculous things like lighting fires in, World Heritage areas or other type of infringements that can happen?
I almost think that they see extreme examples of this, like that man who jumped out of his own aeroplane to get in the States, and apparently he's going to prison for it. I don't know if you know the story.
No.
He was flying a Taylorcraft, and he said he had an engine failure and had cameras strapped all over the airplane, had cameras strapped to his parachute, and had a 360 camera on a stick, and leapt out of the aircraft and then posted this thing on YouTube. Sensational. He didn't have an engine failure. He just wanted, and he wrecked a lovely little airplane, and he's going to prison for it. And that is the extreme end of YouTubers. And maybe they look at that and they say, well, we can't have that happening. This is self-policing
there for sure, but they're well aware of what I do and the effect that I have. And the only reason that they might not want to encourage what I do is purely because of the fact that my videos increase the amount of visitors in the reserves that they manage. And you might say, well, that's exactly what they want because that makes them more revenue. But that's not actually the truth. The truth is that Parks and Wildlife would prefer less visitors in the reserves that they manage. And ideally what they want is people to only go to reserves that are streamlined. For example, the overland track, the 65-kilometre walk that leads from Cradle Mountain and finishes at Lake St Clair. Places like Frenchman's Cap now, they've got these booking systems in place. What they don't want is people who, within their own rights, are going out and exploring and creating itineraries to their own desire, and which in effect has, free camping and potentially, lighting of a small fire to cook dinner. And I mean, it's just basic stuff that people have been doing for hundreds of years. But what they're trying to do now is to basically stop that. But there's no law or legislation that says that you can't do that, but that is what they're trying to do.
Interesting.
So it's not, I mean, this message came up the other day. This question came up in Parliament the other day when Christy Johnson, an independent MP, asked the Minister of Parks. She said directly, what is your answer to the massive amount of revenue that will be lost in Tasmania due to the fact that we have these strict rules in line for content creators in Tasmania? At the moment, people can't even go to the beach and film content for cash because that's Crown land without a business license. And the answer that the guy said, Roger Jens or whatever his name was, said that in the past, the promotion of Tasmania has been an important aspect of our visitors. However, we have these rules in place to protect the areas and blah, 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 which I can understand from a World Heritage point of view or a national park point of view. That's completely fine. I don't care about those areas. I want this other 750 reserves that Parks and Wildlife manage that they've been given custodianship of that I still can't even go to and film for monetization, including the beach. Like, it's just ludicrous the amount of control they have, and they blanket the same effect on World Heritage as they do for the beach because it's Crown land. It's reserves that they manage, all Crown land. And that's not fair. They need to divvy it up. They need to say, all right, well, World Heritage areas and national parks are at a higher value, so therefore we have a higher set of rules. If you want to film in those areas, we're going to look at your application a lot harder than what we would is if you just wanted to go into a regional reserve, which forestry used to occur in, or mining activities used to occur in, or they're a lower grade value, but they don't. Everything's blanketed under the same thing, and it's just a control thing that they have.
This is my suggestion, and tell me if I'm barking up the wrong tree here. You register as a YouTuber. So if you want to go into national parks, and perhaps it could be a good pattern for all the states. If you are a YouTuber and you do travel basic travel shows, okay, that means you're qualified to be one of those people that actually bring people into our state and into our parks, spending money for petrol and all of the things that they do in our state and parks.
Yes.
You then are on a list, okay, so that if we want to police you, we've got a list.
Yeah.
It's really easy. Just go onto their channel, and on that channel you might have an Instagram, you might have your two primary socials.
Yeah.
And so now this makes it really easy to be policed.
Yes.
If we are seen as doing something that is illegal, fires, drones, whatever it happens to be, driving recklessly over stabilized dunes, doing stupid stuff where it's a bad example. Now, we're not the only ones doing this kind of thing. We are actually, as YouTubers, I think, more sensitive to this.
Oh,
because
far more.
we know we are very harshly judged. Very harshly judged.
Yes.
So we're very careful, generally speaking, on what we do and particularly what we share. And if you come back and you point to us and say that was out of line, it's education. We can then share that with our viewers, saying, I learned this. It happened to me 2 years ago. We had actually camped on a West Coast beach, and we had thought we had actually entered the area where we were allowed to camp. And the ranger came and said, no, it's actually 2 k's or 3 k's or whatever it was up the beach. And he said, you're not supposed to. And I apologized to him. And I said, I thought we were because we had driven. And he said, no. And he showed me the map. And I said, you're right. We're very sorry. And he said, I'm not going to fine you, but I'm just going to give you guys a warning. And I appreciated that. And he was quite reasonable and quietly in his rights, because they're controlling access to the beach and they're controlling erosion and all of those things that are damaging the beach and things. So I completely understand it.
Yeah.
The point I'm making is that it was okay for me to share that with my viewers.
Yeah.
Because I learned something, they can now learn something.
Yeah.
And we don't need to be charged for it. If we want to fly a drone, then I agree that there have to be certain stipulations. We have to understand that, for example, I don't know if you agree with me, but if I'm on the beach and I hear over my head, it's not on.
No.
It's just not on.
No.
Okay. So, so as much as I would like to get the footage, I even a public beach, I won't fly a drone on a public beach. And we did one thing, and there was nobody else around, and I popped the drone. It was completely legal. Popped the drone into the air, got 2 shots, landed it.
Yeah.
Didn't fly over anybody else, because that, and I believe we are conscientious, but we're
agree.
not maybe all conscientious. There has to be a way of you saying to us, yes, we want you to come to our state. In fact, we're even going to help you.
Yes.
We shouldn't be paying for the national park fees, maybe camping fees. But what I'm saying is that this is a give and take. Help us promote your state, and we will promote your state.
Yeah, or I'm happy to pay for the national park fee if I'm not also paying for the permit and the insurance and the everything else.
Absolutely correct. We're quite happy. We're actually, park fees don't worry me. I don't mind paying the park fees.
And look, it's a beautifully maintained park, and I thought it was on the spicy end, but I've paid it before, and I'll pay it again on holiday. No worries. That doesn't bother me. But it was the extra little chip. It was the extra little cut, and you're just thinking, oh, really? More money. Yeah. You're going to take more money. Yeah. And I tell you what, it didn't put me in a good mood when I did that piece. No, when I'm going up there,
That's not good for you guys in Tasmania. It's not good for you when your presenter is actually quite ticked off because their wallet is considerably lighter now than it was in the morning. And they're promoting your state and your economy.
They were cheeky enough to say, would you consider putting thank you to Parks and Wildlife Service at the end of the video? And I said, you can put thanks to Fire to Fork at the end of your videos because I'm sponsoring you.
So, say that again. They said what?
They said, would you consider putting thank you to Tasmanian Parks and Wildlife Service at the end of your videos? And I said, you give it to me all for free, you make it really easy for me, yeah, I'll consider it. If I'm paying for it, if I'm going through this whole rigmarole and I'm supporting your state, you can put at the end of your videos, sponsored by Fire to Fork. Because as far as I'm concerned, I'm giving you a lot more than you're giving me.
This is not an equitable solution. So my challenge to you, Harry, is this. You're busy editing those videos now. I want you to do what Parks and Wildlife asked you to do. At the end of the video, you say, thanks to Tasmania Parks and Wildlife for charging me, and then put the bill.
It's a good idea, actually.
You're thanking them.
Yeah.
You're agreeing to thank them.
Yep.
But the caveat is, thank you for charging me what?
$3,000-ish dollars. A bit more than 3,000. Yeah.
Because that's what it actually cost out of your money. So a lot of people will think that YouTubers earn a fortune from advertising revenue. No, we really don't.
No.
It's the Casey Neistats that earn a fortune.
Absolutely,
and the Marcus Brownies that earn a fortune from YouTube.
Yeah.
The irony of it all is there's massive amounts. There's 350,000 hectares of land that they manage that has been given to forestry. It was signed over in 2020, so it's on the chopping board, that they still manage. Now, I can't go in there and film a video commercially and put it on YouTube, but forestry can chop it down. It's just mental. Like, how does that add up? What they need to do is they need to divvy it all up, or at least be a little bit more flexible about the commercial filming licenses. Because at the end of the day, what is being filmed in World Heritage and what is being filmed in national parks are areas that they capitalise on through the sales of parks passes. And last year alone, they made something like $7 million in parks passes for Cradle Mountain. One reserve. They had 250,000 people go in at $28 for a day pass, and they expect that to rise by 60,000 per year in the future years.
Right.
It's crazy. And what do they do with that money? They build huge eyesore visitor centres in World Heritage areas and disrupt the complete sense of the wilderness. So you want to talk about people who mismanage the areas that they're meant to be looking after. Well, they need to look in the mirror because it's them.
My big worry about this is that this is Australia, and bureaucracy is a hobby for a lot of people, and this could be made so unnecessarily complicated, which is probably what they're going to try and do, because complexity employs people, where it could be so simple and so straightforward and so easy to monetize for them and control for them. And for us, we sign up, we're doing this, there you go, we're done. That's all we have to do, and relax and go and inspire people to go to Tassie. Anyway,
I think they forget, as well, that they can't stop people making videos. They can stop people making videos for monetary gain, but they cannot police people making videos if they're not doing anything wrong and it's not monetized.
How do they stop people, even for monetary gain? How do they police that?
Well, I mean, they would assume that through, say, in my example, I had Patreon, t-shirts, and then also I had my the YouTube, which was creating revenue through ads. So that was classed as operating a business.
Yes, but
But
many people won't. They might have a young YouTube channel where they cannot monetize, and they also can't sell T-shirts at this point
yeah,
because they're just starting out.
they don't
So
need a license. Which
where's
is
the line? Where is my question? Where is that line?
well,
This
I guess you'd have to say that the line is when you start to make money. So as soon as you make your first 10 cents, you've got to go in and see Parks and Wildlife and get your license.
or the moment somebody gives you something and says, "Put this on screen for me, won't you? Here's a nice lighter for you. Go and put it on screen for you."
Yeah,
That's it. That's the.
yeah.
This is what I'm saying. It's such a grey area.
Mm,
It's such a grey area. My
yeah,
uncle has a tire business. Can you put a sticker on the side of your car for us? Sure. And then we'll help you balance your tires when you need to. Sure. Stop. You can't take pictures of your car in Tassie. No, 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 no. Your uncle gave you some free tire services and you got a sticker
yeah,
on your windscreen.
yeah, exactly.
Where's the line?
The time that I was there, if I just took my YouTube earnings, quick maths, it would cover the Spirit of Tasmania ticket, the ship.
That puts it in a nutshell. That's what it would actually cover. That's the truth.
That's the truth. Yeah.
And most YouTubers are your size, my size. We're not massive, but we do make a living from our YouTube channel. So we do earn a living to support our families.
Yeah.
And work very, very hard.
Yeah.
We like our work.
Yes, it's a vocation, but it's imagine if we enjoyed our jobs.
Oh no, that would be
Horrible thing.
That would be a terrible thing to do.
Yeah.
How shameful for you.
You're not a real man if you enjoy your job.
Yes.
I had someone say that to me. They said, oh, you're obviously, they said, if you're not, I think his words were, if you're not losing a little bit of your soul, you're not working hard enough for your family. I just thought, what an absolute load of shit. Imagine being annoyed that someone enjoyed their job.
That is, I feel sorry. I get that similar kind of thing. That's quite, oh man, you're going to stay miserable for the rest of your life. If that's your attitude, you will be miserable for your entire life because you feel a certain level of self-congratulation. Give yourself
suffering,
that in your suffering, as opposed to trying to go beyond. And actually, a lot of people out there, guys, there are ways of loving your job.
Yes.
And if you love your job, you will not spend a minute working your entire life.
Yeah.
Well,
some bits suck.
some bits.
Some bits
But
suck.
that's the idea.
You still have to do your book work and you still have to do paid work and whatever, but that's fine. That's just life. I consider that more like life admin than, which we all
work.
have.
Do you when you're sitting on a beach and I can imagine your dog's there and you've got the smell coming off your stove and you must think, I'm the luckiest son of a bitch in the world. I'm working here. You must get that.
Oh, I almost have imposter syndrome sometimes where I think I'm sort of sitting there and it's just magic and I'm waiting for a phone call from my old boss to go, all right, mate, you've had your bloody holiday. Come on back into work. We've just taken all the money out of your bank because, like as if this whole house of cards is going to collapse because it's too good to be true. How the hell can I be making a living doing such a fantastic thing with my life? If I asked my wife, she's a doctor, so she's very much the same attitude towards her work. She loves it. I said, if we had $10 billion, what would you do? She said, work 3 days a week. And she said, you? And I said, I'd put out one video a month and it'd be higher quality.
Yeah.
That's what I'd do.
Yeah, I can understand that. I remember the first time, I don't know if it was the first time, it was one of those times, it was probably about in the year 2000, somewhere around there. I measured my entire by what car was I driving at the time? It must have been 2000.
I do the same.
You used to do the same. Yeah. And I had my white G-Wagon and I was in Zululand and I was in this riverbed and the vehicles were coming down. I said, okay, drive up. I'm going to get some shots of you coming down the thing and then crossing the river at low level. I'm going to put the camera really low. And I was waiting, standing there. listening to the engines in the distance. The birds were all around me. I'm in the middle of bloody nowhere. And my mates were driving the vehicles and driving them down. And I thought, it's Wednesday morning. And I'm doing this.
Yeah.
What did I do to deserve this?
Yes.
And I kind of still doing that very same thing.
Yeah.
You know.
And there are sort of two parts to it, because lots of people try and be YouTubers as well. And it doesn't work for everyone. It doesn't work for most people.
Why don't you think it works for most people?
One is they're trying to be something that they're not, and they're trying to emulate content that they like. And I don't think that there's any issue with taking parts of other people's content and saying, I love the way you did that. I remember seeing, someone did a split screen thing when they were cooking, and I thought, I'm using that in my edit. Yeah. Or, I'll see bits of your cinematography and I go, I love that, or I'm taking that, or just, did a sound design or whatever it is. But I'm not trying to be you. I'm not trying to be Brody Moss. I'm not trying to be Gordon Ramsay. I'm me.
Yeah.
I'm unmistakably me. You are unmistakably you. We talk off camera regularly, and we're the same people. Right. You need to be sometimes a little bit more a bit more succinct on camera than perhaps you would be just going for a walk or having a cup of coffee and chatting.
Yeah.
Fine. And you obviously say more private things, which you just don't want the world to know. I'm not going to give out your address. But I see so many people trying to be Full Drive 24/7, or trying to be Gordon Ramsay, or trying to be this and that, and it's very obvious that it's not them. So I think that's one aspect of it. Another aspect is people who can't afford to do it, and by that I mean they either completely reject any commercial aspect to doing this job, so including people who will actually let themselves get quite big in their things, and then the company will say to them, you're already running our awning, can we sponsor you? Just put our name at the end of the video and we'll give you X number of thousands of dollars. And they go, no. You go, it's free money. Are you changing your content? No. Are you that sort of thing. So some people are actually kind of allergic to money. I've found in some aspects, or don't know, or they'll say, why would I sell merchandise? It's just a shirt with my logo on it, and now I'm charging $20 more. I feel like I'm robbing people, and they sort of fail to realize that the reason people want that shirt is the same reason that growing up you wore shirts with your favorite band on them, because when you walk down the street and you see another person with that shirt, you go, we think the same. We like the same things. We're part of this little group. So that's another part of it that I think that, so people just actually can't afford to do it because they won't take it. And then there's the opposite, where people get into it for the wrong reasons and they're just trying to get paid. And they will say anything for anyone for a few bucks, and it tanks. So those are the things that I think kill it. And then bad audio.
Say that again?
Bad audio.
Oh, yes. On the cliffs of... and I can see the sea below.
All the visuals you want.
Beautiful visuals, well, acceptable visuals, can't do a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So that...
Gwyn will grab a cell phone to get a clip while we're filming, for Instagram. And it's, but I'm hearing... The fact that I have wind in my hair means that audio is useless.
Yeah.
And it's useless. It's not usable.
Yeah.
Nice moment, good idea, completely useless audio.
What do you think makes people not succeed?
I think that all of those things that you mentioned, and the fact that they think that YouTube advertising is going to pay them a lot of money.
Yeah.
And as I said before, you've got to be 1 million plus subs.
Yes.
To earn a significant amount of money from YouTube. You need 1 million or so subs.
I completely agree.
And then great.
Yeah.
But I've been on YouTube since 2007, but I only actually revived my channel and understood YouTube for what it was in 2000 and about 13, 14.
Okay.
So only then did I say, okay, I'm going to now produce regular content for YouTube, and now I'm 290 plus thousand subs.
Yeah.
Growth has actually been quite slow. Your growth has been remarkably good.
It's going quite well. Yeah, I'm
Better than
very
average.
happy.
Better
Yeah,
than
better than
average.
average. Nearly 100,000 now. I actually started this because I was sick of watching four-wheel drive presenters cook bad food, and chefs.
I was not one of them because I never cook on camera because I haven't got a clue.
No, it was the real offenders were the old school four-wheel drive action, and it was terrible food. So I got sick of presenters who were made to do cooking segments, and it was because the two sides of it were that, which was the presenters being made to do cooking segments, and the other side of it was chefs who didn't know anything about camping. So the chefs would shop in Narnia, as far as I'm concerned. I didn't know where any of these ingredients came from. They're certainly not from my supermarket.
Okay.
And then there would be 50 ingredients to make a bloody omelette. And you just think, and they've got, all these different whiz-bang devices and things. And I just thought, that is so needlessly complicated. So I decided to do something in the middle. And it came, so this whole thing was born out of frustration with with what currently existed.
I watch. I don't watch a lot of YouTube. I watch some aviation shows.
Yeah.
Mike Patey builds these insane airplanes, and I watch you.
Interesting.
I watch you because.
And you're not even interested in cooking.
I keep on. It's so ridiculous. I keep on saying, "Gee, that looks good lighting." Shit.
Yeah. Have you noticed I got a new light?
Yeah, especially your early stuff. Your early stuff.
The early stuff was.
Oh no, man! Come on! No, don't do it like that.
Yeah.
Please don't do it like that. It's a lot better now than it was.
Thank you.
But, so I would like to, if I can challenge you now for our viewers.
Yeah.
I haven't even mentioned this to Harry, but I'm mentioning it now. Could we organise a collaboration where you teach me, because I'm not a great cook.
Okay.
But I have always said that I do a really good breakfast.
Okay.
I can do a good breakfast.
There you go.
Okay. Good. Is it really any good?
Okay.
Teach me how to cook eggs.
Sure.
Can we do something like
Absolutely.
that? And we'll do it as a collaboration. I don't do a lot of cooking stuff on my channel, but this could be fun.
I agree.
And I want to learn how to make those eggs just a little bit better.
Absolutely.
Can we do that?
Yeah, we'll do 3 kinds.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're gonna do that in the near future.
Fantastic. I love that. That's great. And also, because I actually really enjoy cooking breakfast. It's sort of it's a nice part of the day. You're fresh and you.
Fantastic part of the day because if you're cooking a good breakfast, it means you've got some time. You don't have to get in the car and go.
Yeah.
Which means you're in chill mode.
Yes.
Like you are in the evening, but then you're having a morning meal in chill mode.
Yeah.
That's a really nice meal to have, and that's when I cook a nice breakfast because I've got space and time.
Perfect. I'd love to do that
in my car.
Great.
Right, we're going to do that.
Excellent.
So to conclude, Tasmania. I was going to come and promote and I know to you I'm nothing, but to my community I'm something. I'm not coming to Tasmania until you sort yourself out.
Yeah.
And I was going to come in February. I had planned it. It was in my itinerary. I'm going to do something else instead.
Yeah.
So.
And I certainly won't be back until it's sorted. That's for sure.
And
that's for damn sure.
Or what Parks and Wildlife can do is what they've done for the last, what that legislation's been in since 2001, I believe. So for the last 22 years, turn a blind eye to it because they never policed it in the past. So why would they start policing it now? They never cared about wilderness photographers selling calendars about their prints that they took in the reserves. They never cared about photographers who use the beach with the wedding couples. With the bride and groom on their wedding day. This is all, in their eyes, worthy of needing a commercial filming license, right? Because you're monetizing your work on areas that they manage. But for the last 22 years, no one ever got pulled up on it. Why? Because it wasn't worth pulling people up for. Exact same way that tourism board said, we're not going to come after you. Which brings me again to the point. Why did they come after Levi and I? Well, because they want that little leash around our necks. Because we're out there finding gold. We're out there inspiring people to visit the reserves in a way that's free and liberating and having the time of our lives and getting, a lot of support and respect for it. They don't like that. That must be the case.
And if you would like us to help you sort it in terms of representing YouTubers, I'll make my time available. I might not be the best person to do it, but I've been in the YouTube game for a long time, and I've been in television. So if you would like to contact me and say, hey, we would like to get some insight and understanding to formulate something that will work for everybody, win, 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 I am available.
Absolutely, and so am I. Get in touch.
Absolutely.
Get in touch. And my number one bit of advice would be have a look at what New South Wales has done. I think they've nailed the system. $50 a year for a filming permit for a small operator.
Right.
Perfect.
Right. And if you want to get a permit to fly a drone in a national park, it is possible, but it is very heavily controlled. How does that work?
Well, you need the CASA license, which is really expensive. Yes. So I think that you should be able to get a permit and use a recreational license, yes, and follow all the guidelines. And then I can't see that being an issue, and particularly in Crown Land. I think that you should be able to just fly a drone in public areas that aren't national parks, that aren't drone-free zones, because why can anyone else fly it when I can't? That's the thing. Anyone else can fly a drone there because they're not making money off it. Because I'm a commercial operator, I'm not allowed to fly the drone.
That's all backwards.
Yeah.
That's all the wrong way around.
Yeah.
It's 180 degrees the wrong way around.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, thank you very much, Harry, for your time.
Thank you, Andrew.
It's been wonderful.
Thank you for putting a spotlight on this, because I think it's really needs it.
It really needs it. It does need it. Thank you for your time, Rob. It's been enlightening, interesting, and so I'll send you links and everything to the story before it goes out, so you can have a look at it. A little bit of editing, but yeah, fantastic. Really, really good. Yeah.
Cool. Well, I really appreciate you having me on, and thanks for the opportunity. It's great.
All right, Rob. Okay. I'm disappointed. I'm not going to Tassie.
Yeah.
I was really looking forward to going.
Tassie's great.
I'm not going to go and fork out $3,000 for permits.
No.
And go through that whole nightmare. No, they're plenty. Australia's a big country. There's really nice places to visit.
Sure are.
That will welcome me with open arms and not make it difficult for me. So
yeah.
I'm going there instead.
You'll love the Vic High Country.
Yes. Yes. Gwyn, it was Gwyn's idea that we do the Tassie, and I actually said to her, where could we do instead? Why don't we continue up and do Victoria High Country? She's never seen that, and maybe come back. I don't know, an interesting way. Not sure, but the point is that it's no longer Tassie. Somebody else will get the benefit, and it's a pity because we really wanted to go.
Yeah, yeah. I'm missing out as a fan.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you everybody for listening. See you next Sunday. Bye for now. Thank you so much for listening to the Next Adventure podcast with me, Andrew St. Pierre White. To find out more information, check out thenextjourney.net. Join us each Sunday.